I used to believe that secrets could be buried forever, tucked away beneath routine smiles and carefully rehearsed excuses. But the truth has a way of rising, slowly, steadily, until it claws its way out of you. I was a wife. A good one, at least in the eyes of everyone who knew us. I kept the house neat, remembered birthdays, supported Daniel's long hours at the firm, and smiled beside him at company events. To outsiders, we were stable, solid, the couple people envied. Inside, though, I was hollow. Daniel wasn't cruel, but he was absent. His love came in fleeting gestures, a kiss on the cheek before rushing out the door, a bouquet of roses when guilt weighed on him for missing yet another dinner. He believed providing was love, that financial security and stability were enough. Maybe for some women, it would have been. But I craved presence, warmth, attention, the kind that lingers in the eyes, not just a wallet. That's how it started with Matthew. He wasn't supposed to be anything. Just a co-worker for my nonprofit job. Someone with an easy laugh. Someone who noticed when I changed my hair. Someone who listened. He asked about my day and actually waited for the answer. It should have ended there. But one evening, after too many glasses of wine at a fundraiser, I let myself lean into his attention. The first kiss tasted like relief, dangerous, sweet, and terrifying. I told myself it was just a mistake. It would end. I would come home, slide back into the shell of the dutiful wife, and forget. But I didn't forget. The mistake became a habit. The habit became a secret. And the secret became an addiction. Nights when Daniel claimed to be working late, I would be with Matthew. Sometimes, lying in bed afterward, my phone buzzing with a text from my husband about some late meeting, I would feel sick, ashamed. Yet the sickness never outweighed the warmth Matthew gave me. The feeling of being wanted in a way Daniel hadn't given me in years. For months, I lived in two worlds. In one, I was Mrs. Carter, smiling at dinner parties, folding laundry, nodding while Daniel talked about cases I barely understood. In the other, I was alive, reckless, desired. But double lives aren't sustainable. They collapse. And mine did the night Daniel came home early. I hadn't expected him. He wasn't supposed to be there. I was still flushed from Matthew's hands on my skin, his scent clinging to me. I tried to cover it, to act normal, but Daniel's eyes were sharp. He noticed a shirt I'd tossed carelessly over the chair. He noticed a faint perfume that wasn't his. He didn't accuse me that night, but his silence was heavier than shouting. The next days were unbearable. He watched me too closely, asked too many questions with too little tone. I felt the walls closing in, the secret suffocating me. And so one evening I confessed. The words came out in stammers, raw and jagged. I told him about Matthew, about the months of betrayal, about the reasons I told myself it had happened. Daniel's face didn't twist with rage like I had feared. Instead, it crumbled. His eyes, so steady, so sure, went glassy, and he looked at me like I was a stranger. "You could have just told me you were unhappy," he said quietly. "You didn't have to destroy us." That hurt more than if he'd screamed. There was no forgiveness that night. No dramatic argument. No throwing of things. Just silence. He packed a bag, left without another word, and the door's echo felt like a final sentence. Now, I sit in this house that suddenly feels too big, writing these words because confession doesn't end when you say it aloud. It festers, it lingers, it demands to be repeated until you finally understand the weight of what you've done. I was a cheating wife, not because I didn't love my husband once, but because I let loneliness turn into justification and justification into betrayal. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The worst part isn't being caught. The worst part is realizing that in chasing what you thought you needed, you destroyed the one thing you already had. And no confession can undo that. The night Daniel left, the silence was unbearable. I kept waiting for my phone to buzz, for him to call, to scream, to demand explanations I wasn't sure I could give. But nothing came. Hours passed, then days, and the absence of his voice was worse than any fury I braced myself for. I told myself I deserved it. But the truth? I still longed for him, for the familiarity of his presence, the comfort of knowing he was mine, even if I betrayed him. That contradiction was the cruelest part. I had broken him, yet part of me wanted him to hold me. Matthew, of course, didn't understand. He came over 2 days later. his usual easy smile faltering when he saw the suitcase Daniel had left behind. "So he knows," Matthew said flatly. "Yes," I whispered. And he left. For a moment, he looked almost relieved, like the messy middle had finally ended, and now it was our turn. But I wasn't smiling. My chest was tight, my eyes raw from crying. "What do you want, Anna?" Matthew asked, his voice cautious. "Do you want me? Or do you want him?" It should have been an easy answer. After all, I'd chosen Matthew countless nights when I should have been with my husband. But the question broke something in me, because the truth was, I didn't want either of them. Not in that moment. I just wanted to rewind, to undo every choice that had led me here. "I don't know," I admitted, and the words tasted like ash. Matthew stayed that night, but it wasn't the same. Every kiss felt like a reminder of what I'd lost. His hands were warm, but they didn't soothe me anymore. They just made me think of Daniel's absence. The fallout spread quickly. Daniel didn't tell his parents right away, but secrets like mine don't stay contained. His sister, Emily, called me a week later. "Anna," she said, her voice clipped, "I don't know what's worse, that you cheated on him or that you had the nerve to confess like it was some noble act." I tried to speak, to explain, but she cut me off. "You destroyed my brother. Do you understand that? You broke him in ways I've never seen before. And for what? Some fling." Her words sliced through me. I hung up shaking, my stomach churning. Even my own friends were divided. Some whispered that maybe Daniel should have seen it coming. After all, he was never around. Others avoided me altogether, as if infidelity were contagious. Suddenly, I was marked, branded, the woman who betrayed. One evening, about a month later, Daniel finally called. My hands trembled as I answered. "I want to meet," he said simply. His voice was flat, emotionless, but my heart still skipped. We met at a quiet cafe, the kind we used to visit in our early years. He looked thinner, his face drawn, and my guilt doubled. "I need to ask you something," he began, his eyes locked on mine. Was it ever real with him? Or was I not enough? The question shredded me. "You were enough," I said quickly, too quickly. It wasn't about you not being enough. It was about me needing something I didn't know how to ask for. His laugh was bitter. "So instead of asking, you lied. For months." I wanted to reach across the table, to touch his hand, to beg him to see that my mistake didn't erase the years we had built together. But I didn't, because maybe, deep down, I knew that reaching for him now was selfish. "I don't know if I can forgive you," Daniel said finally, his voice low. "But I also don't know if I can stop loving you. And that's the cruelest part of all." That night, lying in bed alone, I realized something. Confession doesn't free you. It binds you, chains you to the truth you can't escape. I thought telling Daniel would lift the weight. Instead, it spread the wreckage to both of us. And in the quiet dark, I finally understood betrayal isn't just one act. It's a ripple. It keeps going, touching everyone in its path, long after the first mistake is made.